It is time for the Daytona 500 and the official kickoff finally of our iRacing NASCAR career mode here on the channel. Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 1, the official episode following a continuation of the original prologue episode that you saw a few days ago. We just landed here in Daytona with this Wood Brothers Racing team number 21, and we are ready to race around the high banks of Daytona International Speedway and hopefully come out as a rookie Daytona 500 winner like Trevor Bayne did in this 21 car over a decade ago. But first, let's see what happened throughout the week.
This season, the Clash moves from Daytona to Las Vegas, but it's not where you think. It's the 2022 Busch Light Clash at the Las Vegas Bull Ring. I'm Alan Bailey with live coverage on ARN. Unlike years past, we're not at the sands of Daytona, but instead, the sands of Sin City, about 15 miles north of the Las Vegas Strip. No points on the line, so it's checkers or records for these drivers.
We kick off the week here at the Las Vegas Bull Ring with the NASCAR Clash, where it was kind of the more official format, playoff drivers, pole winners from the previous season, so I didn't get to take part in the Clash, but we got to watch it one heck of a race. A massive shout out to Alan Bailey, fellow NASCAR content creator here on YouTube. I'll make sure to link his channel down below, and you can check out Alan. It would mean a lot to me. He's such a good guy, and he actually came forward and asked me and volunteered to give us these audios before the race for pre-race stuff, as well as maybe some pit reporting throughout the races as well in the future. So stay tuned to hopefully every episode that Alan will take a part in. So once again, massive shout out to Alan there. As you can see here in this Clash, Bubba Wallace and 2311 Racing, fresh off their second season in the NASCAR Cup Series, leading in these closing laps over Kyle Busch as well as Chase Elliott in the debut for this next-gen car. And it was putting on a show, but it was Bubba Wallace who was leading through the final few corners here, and Kyle Busch chasing him down, but it didn't look like it was going to be enough as Bubba led the way through 3 and 4, and sure enough, Bubba Wallace would come through to win the Busch Light Clash here at the Las Vegas Bull Ring here. A very, very superb drive there from Bubba, as well as you can see the rest of the field coming through to cross the line there as Michael McDowell was dead last there in P18. Eric Jones, who started on pole, dropped all the way down to 17th place there, showing a lot of parity in this next-gen car so far. So what a debut for this next-gen car. But it was time now to head back to Daytona International Speedway here on Tuesday, where we get to kick off our very first practice session with this number 21 Wood Brothers machine. Very excited, as you could imagine, to say the least, as you see the cars. We're getting ready now to roll onto the circuit here, as it was about 6 p.m. Local time, so the sun was slowly starting to set here in this early February, as we were just ready to hop into the car and make some laps.
Mic check, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Welcome to the TVA. Both you and I are rookies of the Cup Series, so it's gonna be a big learning curve. I think you and I get along well, though. Let's have a good year.
Absolutely. Let's make it happen, boys. There you hear our conversations with our crew chief, and you'll hear some moments of crew chiefing, you'll hear some moments of other drivers as well throughout this career mode series. But we were on track now, getting our first moments of experience with this next gen car. We've worked our way through the ranks from Truck Series, Xfinity Series, getting experience overseas in road course racing at Bathurst, just on the GT3 Porsche, as well in the prologue and kart racing, etc. We are coming into this NASCAR Cup Series season with a lot of experience under our belt in different forms of racing, so I'm very excited to be able to put the attack here to this grid in this calendar that I'm going to showcase right now as practice would kick off, and we were getting experience here running in packs as well as running behind Cole Custer there, working with some Fords. Here you will see the schedule now, so it kicks off with Daytona, and it follows as closely as possible to the real life schedule with a few exceptions, because we don't have tracks like Bristol Dirt or Darlington or Pocono, etc. Those are the main ones. So you can see kind of the changes that I had to make, so we just have normal Bristol instead of Bristol Dirt, but we've added now Chicagoland and Kentucky both to the schedule. You'll see the rest of the schedule there as well, and you can pause the video real quick if you need to take a closer look at it. One of the big things is we actually have back-to-back Indianapolis Oval and Road Course a part of this schedule, since Pocono is absent from iRacing AI currently, as well as Kentucky is now in the playoffs as well. So a few little changes there. There's just about 4 tracks that we don't have AI for, so it's not a big deal here. As you can see, we were getting some experience now in the pack as the sun was setting here at Daytona on this Tuesday evening, and just trying to get as much drafting experience as I could here now. But I would dive down to the pit lane and call it an evening here late in this session, actually getting some practice in the pit lane, and well, it didn't end very well right there, as we were now getting ready for Daytona 500 qualifying on Wednesday. Very excited for this one to find out what kind of speed we have in this Wood Brothers number 21 machine, as well as we have the duels coming up on Thursday evening as well. So excited to see how we can do there as we would kick our qualifying lap underway here and hope for the absolute best. My goal was a top 20. Honestly, if we could get a top 20, I'd be happy with that. And as we came through to start our qualifying run, Kyle Larson was currently at the top of the board. I come through to set my first lap, and it was decent. It wasn't great. We still had a lot of work to do. You can see by P30 in the bottom right there, we got some work to do, and we would find the pace in this car on this second lap here through 3, as well as turn 4 down this run straightaway, maybe with a little bit of wind on our side pushing us down this straightaway in this Wood Brothers Motorcraft and ZXD quick lane number 21 Mustang. We're going to come through to cross the line and shock everybody front row of the Daytona 500.
Hey, yeah, that's beat you, by the way. That is awesome job today.
Kyle Larson, front row, myself, P2 here as we were ready for the Daytona duels on Thursday night. Let's head to those duels.
We welcome you to Daytona Beach, Florida, and today we will set the field for Sunday's Daytona 500. I'm Alan Bailey with live coverage on ARN. A pair of dual 150-mile races will determine the starting lineup for this year's Great American Race. But the question is, who gets to race on Sunday and who goes home tonight? A lot of eyes on rookie Canadian driver Gary Owen, the Wood Brothers' new driver in the historic 21 Ford. The goal tonight? Finish. He hopes to earn some respect for Sunday, keep the car clean, and finish the race on the lead lap. Where will the Wood Brothers start the 500 this season? And can Owen stay out of trouble and keep his car clean? We're about to find out.
Duel number 1 was underway. We are in duel number 2, so we got to just sit back and watch this first one. As you see, pole winner Kyle Larson taking his time up at the front, but everybody was kind of swapping back and forth. It's crazy how much movement there was in these packs, even with just half the field here. There's rookie Jay Cook for Colleague Racing up there in the number 16 machine as well. We'll hear a word from him a little bit later on. Now, as you can see, though, by the time we come to the final lap, it was Kyle Larson in the Hendrick Motorsport number 5 car leading the way through 3 and 4. Daniel Suarez, Chase Elliott just behind. Who's going to win duel number 1 on the exit of turn 4? Larson's guaranteed pole, as Suarez is going to take the lead down the front straightaway in through the triangle. Daniel Suarez will win duel number 1 here from this Daytona Speed Weeks. A great drive right there in that Tootsie's pink number 99 Trackhouse racing machine, as we've looked to see Trackhouse really take a step forward this season with an expansion from Suarez, now adding Ross Chastain to their lineup as well. There, as you see here, Daytona 500 duel 1 winner of Daniel Suarez for Trackhouse Racing. But now it was time for myself here in this second duel here from this Daytona Speed Weeks weekend, where we would lead the field for a 15-lap dash. Now for the duel only, ignore the top graphic that you see of the scoreboard. So I forgot to reset the scoreboard. I didn't realize I had to do that, so I need to reset the scoreboard for it between every races for it to actually be updated correctly. So for the Daytona 500, it is fine. However, for this duel right here, it is actually showing you basically the results from duel 1. So ignore everything you see on that here, but nonetheless, we were ready to take the green flag here from this second duel. 15 laps is all it is. You'll have to look in the bottom right here to see the lap count for this second duel because of that scoreboard issue. Now, as we are underway here for our first official race of our NASCAR Cup Series career, now in duel number 1, Ryan Blaney, my teammate, we say it is an alliance car for Penske Racing, but I feel like, you know, of the teams that have alliances, Penske and Wood Brothers are probably the closest, because our number 21 car is built at the Penske Racing shop. We are basically a Penske car. We operate out of that building here, and as we lead on the exit of turn 2, already kind of getting a feel for the moves, the blocks that we have to pull there. Ross Chastain in his debut for Trackhouse Racing there on the outside. He's going backwards immediately here now as Ryan Blaney as well to my outside as we head down into turn 3. That number 12 is going to take the lead, and one of the big things that we're doing here today, this weekend in Daytona Daytona is working with teammates. That is the goal. Work with teammates, and Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, those are the 3 drivers we are looking to work with. If we can't work with those drivers, look for other 4 drivers to work with here. Now, we want to make a good impression here in our debut in the Cup Series on this Duel as well as 500 weekend to, of course, hopefully continue to gain respect to drivers and impress people throughout the season to where we can get to the point where we can potentially get, a promotion to Penske Racing in Season 2 of this career mode, or it maybe even gets stolen by another team here. Now, it's all about making an impression here this season with this number 21 car, because we're not necessarily expecting to make the playoffs. However, it would be fantastic if we could. We hope to be in the fight for it at least now, but you can see myself working with Ryan Blaney as this duel goes on and trying out different lanes. The inside line is it can work for a little bit, but it feels like overall it is the weakest line of anything here, because you're going to see a lot of 3-wide racing, 4-wide racing, especially in the Daytona 500, and I was noticing that the middle and outside lines were the ones that seemed to be able to actually generate the most momentum and movement. So that's kind of where I was focused on, was those middle to outside lanes here now, but we'll probably find ourselves on the inside throughout different points of this race here now, but we were already closing in on the halfway point of our duel, and look at the momentum right there with Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch to the lead of duel number 2, and that number 45, his debut for 23XI Racing as they expand just like Trackhouse did to 2 cars this season, but it doesn't matter. We push Ryan Blaney to the lead with help from David Reagan here in his one and only start of the season in the Daytona 500 for Rick Rare Racing. You got Landon Castle as well just behind here now as we continue to try and tuck in behind this Menards Ford Mustang. However, here you can see that outside lane again making moves. Kevin Harvick, Reagan, Kurt Busch on the outside there, all making headway on that outside, and once Harvick got to my right rear, the side draft, it really pulled my car back, so it absolutely destroyed my momentum and Blaney's as well, but Blaney has a really quick car here in duel number 2, and we were able to get the elbows up. We were able to follow him through the field a few times, and it just continue to make moves here with Blaney as he's going to go back to the lead. However, this time he's going to leave me hanging here, so he's going to jump down to the inside. I wasn't clear to make a move in front of Kevin Harvick, so I had to stay up on this outside, and now as we come through to a few laps to go, 4 to go at this point here, we find ourselves side by side with Ryan Blaney for the battle for the duel win. David Reagan just behind myself, but we got a little bit separated here as we came through the trioval. Now 3 laps to go here from Daytona, and you continue to see me trying to learn the side draft here now, but now Tyler Reddick would get linked up with me and push me past that number 12 of Ryan Blaney, but I still was thinking, do I want to be linked with a teammate or not? So I decided to actually not go with Blaney immediately, try and cover up the 20 of Christopher Bell, who does a great job getting to my right rear quarter panel. Now I jump down in front of the number 12, but you can see the momentum is gone, and once you get side drafted, you lose unbelievable amounts of momentum and energy, so you drop by about 15 miles per hour at times here now, so we found ourselves a little bit further back again with 2 laps to go. Now as the final lap though of the duel would get underway, you can see again on this outside, look how much speed we have, and all of a sudden we were back up here in P3. It's crazy how quick things shift back and forth between lanes. It's all about getting into the right lane at the right time here now, and we're side by side with Kevin Harvick. Tyler Reddick leads away as we exit turn 2 down the back straightaway. Help from behind with that number 20 of Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, David Reagan on the inside. A bunch of Fords there lined up. We side draft the 15 of Reagan. Harvick makes a move to the outside of the number 8 of Tyler Reddick here as we head down into turn 3, and I'm going to try and follow with that number 4, but here we go. We got a bunch of momentum with help from Chastain. I'm going to try and make a move 3 wide to the outside here and see if we can make it happen. No help from behind on the exit of turn 4. Our run is going to fade. Harvick and Reddick are going to be side by side to the line, but it's going to be Harvick by about half a car length at the line. By a full car length, Kevin Harvick wins duel number 2. We cross the line for a little bit of a disappointing P6 here in this second duel, but overall not too disappointed with that one as you could imagine here, but we definitely learned a little bit right there. Making a 3 wide move to the outside, maybe not always the best decision to make here, and it certainly showed right there as you can see your duel number 2 winner of Kevin Harvick. But now really quick, before this Daytona 500 weekend, we still had Truck Series, we still had Xfinity Series. We're going to jump to the final lap of both series, see what happened there. This was the Truck Series Friday evening. John Hunter Nemechek picking up right where he left off at 21, winning a lot of races here as he would lead the way into the trioval. John Hunter Nemechek wins the opening race of the season here in the Truck Series, and you can expect to see movement from truck drivers moving moving up to Xfinity Series, Xfinity Series drivers moving up to Cup Series, ARCA going on up, KNN, etc. It's going to be very exciting to have a little pipeline series with that as well. Here's the Xfinity Series. Final lap out of turn 4, 3x3x3. It was Ty Gibbs, Austin Hill side by side with Hemrick as well to the line, but it was Austin Hill who won by like a quarter of a car length there for the Daytona race on Saturday. But now it's time for the Daytona 500. Let's head to it.
It's the great American race, the Daytona 500. I'm Alan Bailey with live coverage on ARN. No one is thinking about points or the championship. All they want is to etch their name into the history books and lift the Harley J. Earl Trophy at the end of the night. Chase Elliott is feeling a little extra pressure as he looks for his first 500 win. His father, Awesome Bill, has won the 500 twice in 1985 and 87. If Elliott wins the 500 today, it will tie Hendrick Motorsports and Petty Enterprises with 9 Daytona 500 wins. No pressure, Chase. The Wood brothers have a new driver this season. Canadian driver Gary Owen takes over the historic number 21 Ford this season, and this team knows how to win with a rookie driver behind the wheel of the 500. They won the Daytona 500 with Trevor Bayne in 2011, and if they win today, it'll be the 100th win for the Wood brothers in the NASCAR Cup Series. Can rookie Gary Owen get the win for the Wood brothers? Let's find out.
Only one chance for you to win the Daytona 500, everybody. Let's make it happen today.
Thank you for the hard work all over the offseason, everybody. Let's have a good one here today. A lot of laps, a lot of time for things to go right or wrong. Let's make it happen. Developing stories during the pre-race, Kyle Larson as well as Kevin Harvick, Daniel Suarez, the pole winner and the 2 duel winners, failed pre-race inspection. They are sent to the back of the grid, which puts us to pole position for the Daytona 500, but not the official pole, as that was still going to Kyle Larson. There you see some of the rookies there. Jay Cook, Austin Cindric as well in that number 2 car, the 31 car for Kaulig Racing. Kaulig is a full-time 2-car program, unlike real life, so Jay Cook in that number 16 as we were ready to get this Daytona 500 underway. 65 laps, stages being lap 15 for stage 1, lap 35 for stage 2, and then 65 for the end of this race. The Daytona 500 is underway as we are in control over Tyler Reddick on our outside here. Green flag racing here from this Daytona International Speedway. Daytona being the most, I would say, just absolutely PC eating track on the service when you're racing AI. I had to turn my settings specifically for this track way down to even make this race happen. Any other track on the service, I can crank my graphics settings up without any issues in recorded video. However, for this Daytona track, I have to crank it way down, so that was pretty frustrating, and you're going to see a couple of blinks here and there throughout the video. That was just because of the PC struggling here, but we are already losing the lead here. Kyle Busch to the lead here for Joe Gibbs Racing. His contract is up at the end of this 2022 season. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Could he potentially go elsewhere? Highly unlikely with the success he's had with Joe Gibbs Racing, but it's a long season ahead, 36 races, and it all starts right here at the pinnacle of stock car racing, the Daytona International Speedway, for the biggest race in stock car racing, the Daytona 500. Now, as you can already see, lap 2 underway. We got 4 wide down into turn 1 just behind us here, and that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Denny Hamlin. Contact already as they head down into turn 1. There's cars on the wall. The rookie of Cook as well, briefly into the outside wall there, and that number 16 now as we head down this back straightaway, and immediately we have issues, and we're going to take a look at it right there. You're going to see Hamlin as well as Stenhouse there into the side of McDowell in some contact with the wall. Fortunately, nobody took any big hits, so nobody really picked up any damage. On board with Cook, who's at the outside wall as well here. Now, as we're going to go for a bit of a on board here with Jay Cook, or a little bit of a pre-race interview with Jay Cook.
I'm excited for this season with Kaulig Racing. The team believes in me, I believe in them, and there's just a lot of potential for this new team, and I've got a great group of people behind me.
Well, that great group of people allowed Jay Cook to finally find success in left turn automobile racing. We'll have to wait and see here now on lap 3 of this 500. And you can see after feeling out this pack, I wanted no part of up at the front of this grid. I backed out of it. I said, all right, I'm going to the back, boys. I don't want to be a part of this mess, because there was a lot of 4-wide racing. We saw the issues on lap 1, as well as it was just full-blown chaos racing here. I couldn't believe how hard these drivers were driving here. So I was just trying to survive through stage 1 and 2. You got to be be there at the end of the race. That's how you win the Daytona 500, so we're not going to really get anywhere. I'm not necessarily worried about getting stage points here in the 500. However, when we get to the regular season finale at the same track, we might be regretting not going for stage points potentially here if we miss out by a few points on the playoffs, because we know this car is not a car that's going to compete for the championship. This is a car that's going to allow us to make a name for ourselves and get ourselves into a car that could win a championship as soon as next season. But just riding here at the back of the pack in stage 1, letting things play out. More four-wide racing here late in this stage as Kyle Larson found himself back up front after he was sent to the back after that pre-race inspection issue. You see leading is Austin Dillon in that red and white car. So in the replay specifically, not in the actual race, but in the replay specifically, 2 cars refused to load paint schemes. That was Austin Dillon and the 20 of Christopher Bell. But you'll see when I'm racing around them in the actual footage that their cars were loaded in there, because I saved the replay, went to it after I did the race. But look at all this four-wide mess there. Cindric as well as Timmy Hill. You see Ryan Blaney as well in the mix. Everybody going at it here in these closing laps of stage 1. I wasn't really concerned, like I said, with going for those stage points when the sight is at right there. 4 wide as we're heading down into turn 3, nearly 190 miles per hour. I said, no thank you. You guys keep doing what you're doing. A big checkup right here. They'll come to the final couple laps of the stage, and you can see a bit of a separation. That was because Noah Gragson in the number 62 right here had contact into turn 3 with Keselowski. Look at that. He turned him into the side of the 41 at Custer. Thank goodness that did not result in an accident. We would continue on to the now final lap of this first and opening stage here down the back straight away, and I'm on the far outside letting things play out. Let's just get to the finish of this stage was the mindset here as we head down into turn 3. We had made it this far. Let's not blow it now. It was Ty Dillon and Kurt Busch and Ryan Blaney, Justin Haley, Michael McDowell, your current top 5 as they come through on the exit of turn 4. Kurt Busch to the outside in his first race for 2311 Racing as a Denny Hamlin employee. He might steal the stage victory. Yes, he will. To the line, Kurt Busch wins stage 1 over Ty Dillon and Ryan Blaney. A great result there for that number 45 Monster Energy Toyota Camry. Kurt Busch's new home has started off tremendous there as the stage would come to a close. We were nowhere close to any stage points there, but I was completely okay with that. We head down into the pit lane at the end of the stage, but surprisingly, look at this. A very mixed bag here. Some drivers stay out, which was very confusing as the 38 of Todd Gilliland, fellow rookie, is turned into the inside wall on the pit lane. A bunch of damage there done to that number 38 machine, and we have another stack up with McLeod and Chastain, but we would get some service done to our number 21 car. But look at the replay there. Landon Castle turns Gilliland there at the end of stage 1 in the pits now as Kurt Busch is going to be your stage 1 winner from this Daytona 500. Back from Daytona, ready to go green for the start of the second stage. You'll see the top 10 of the stage order right there on your screen. Half the field pitted, half the field stayed out. Very baffling because there was only about 3-4 laps of fuel left in the car when I came into the pit lane. Everybody has a 50% fuel cell, basically replicating what we get in the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. So a very baffling call there as we were ready to go green for stage 2. 2 different strategies. Some of these guys are going to have to pit very soon. We're going to be underway for stage 2. It is time to get amped here for the Daytona 500. Kyle Larson and Kaz Gralla into the pit lane. The first two drivers on that different strategy to come into the pits. They could be at a bit of a disadvantage here as we head down into turn 3, and they're crashing down into turn 3. Alex Bowman into the outside while the caution is going to fly immediately. Now if you're Larson as well as Gralla, you're absolutely loving this here as you see everybody diving all over the place, and actually all the drivers on that different strategy, they're coming into the pit lane immediately because they're so close on field, but the pit lane is closed, so that means no matter what, they're all going to be sent to the back anyways. They're all going to get penalized for that, as they were on a baffling strategy to begin with. But we get our first accident of the day. Nobody turned around, but NASCAR threw the caution. We had a bunch of cars, of course, in the wall and off the pace, and you'll see it right here. 4 wide does the trick. Blaney, Chastain, Bowman, and then, oh my goodness, Bowman shoots into the side of the 62 of Gregson. A lot of damage to the right side of that 62. Kurt Busch as well, actually, takes probably the biggest hit of anybody. Look at on board with Kurt Busch right here. He actually breaks the right front toe link, and we know what a toe link will do here in the NASCAR Cup Series. That is going to put him many laps down. He will be on that DVP, so we'll see if he can get back out on the track in time and hit, of course, minimum speed. So unfortunate there, and after all of that happened and everybody pitting, we found ourselves actually up inside the top 10 here, and with that caution coming out, it didn't leave a whole lot of left racing left here in stage 2, because we were getting back underway. Lap 28 coming through to lap 29, and the stage ends at the conclusion of lap 35. My mindset hadn't changed from the first stage. I still don't necessarily want to be right here in the thick of the pack until late in the third and final stage when it's genuinely time to get going here. So we were here on the inside, which is a perfect, honestly, exit route, because this inside line just goes backwards, so I really didn't necessarily have much of an intention yet to leave here. And you can see just by staying on the inside, we would quickly fall backwards there. Now I would jump up to the outside to finally kind of get out of dodge here now before this stage comes to a close here in these final 6 laps of stage 2. Not the most thrilling thing, you know, to be riding in the back, but it's certainly the option that's going to keep us in this race until the very end here. Now as you can see, all the way at the back, but then we came to start the final lap of the stage. I got the elbows out, we got to the outside, we started moving, and we quickly found ourselves battling for the top 10. I decided, you know what, let's try and see if we can get a stage point. A lap car at the very front of the pack right there that is quite slow. I believe that is the 62 of Noah Gragson. So you're going to see whatever lane he decides to park himself in, slow up, and it's going to be the inside line here down the back straightaway. I'm going to jump up to the outside. There's Kyle Busch in that M&M's Toyota Camry, and all of a sudden we have a chance for stage points here in stage 2, right to the back of the 18, nearly turning the 18 as we continue through 3 and out of turn 4. Austin Cindric to the lead on the exit of the corner. Can he get his rookie stage 2 victory here in the Daytona 500? Corey LaJoie is not actually on the lead lap, so Cindric wins stage 2 here in this Daytona 500. We're going to cross the line actually for a very, very solid finish in stage 2, as well as see everybody else coming through to cross the line there down into turn 1 as the caution would come out. But some stage points for us. We were P6, just like where we were actually in the duel. Mixed strategy again in the pit lane. We were actually the first car into the pit lane, so a bunch of drivers again stay out. So still 2 different strategies being played here in this race, and we have a bunch of cars follow us, but a lot of cars. Look at the amount of cars that stayed out on the track here, so they might be in a 2-stop position here going into this third and final stage as Cindric wins stage 2. One final stage remains here from this Daytona International Speedway. It has been a heck of a race so far. A little bit of confusion with strategies, why everyone's not on the same strategy at Daytona, I was quite surprised by, but nonetheless, this third and final stage was underway, and you see 25 laps of racing to go. A fuel tank was about 19 to 20 laps at the absolute maximum, so there's no way we can make it to the end of the stage without coming into the pit lane. But with the different strategies that are happening here, the drivers that stayed out, they might have to pit twice, so they are hoping for a caution. They need a caution if they want to one-stop this sometime after 19 laps or 20 laps to go as well. They could probably make it work, but now it was go time. We found ourselves moving forward on this outside line very, very quickly. We had gotten up into now the top 5 behind the 20 of Christopher Bell, behind the 5 of Kyle Larson. Actually jumped down to the inside. This was not me trying to fall back, this was just me not thinking and being silly, so then we would fall backwards here with Kyle Larson, so I jumped back up to the middle lane because now now it is time to fight. If we crash with 23 laps to go, I'm not going to be quite disappointed if it was in, say, stage 1 or 2. So now here we are 3 wide in the middle, but look at this. We got the 4 wide action again. This is my first dose for myself, being right in the thick of it here in the middle lane. But William Byron nearly drove into the back of me. I nearly drove into the side of Cole Custer as well in the 41. It is absolute mayhem here, and somehow we're all keeping it clean and trying to find our way forwards here. But you can see, you can kind of see how I looked a little bit uncomfortable on the wheel. It was so sketchy. But once again, things would kind of calm down a little bit up front here, and we got back into the 2 wide briefly here as I was behind the 48 of Alex Bowman. Bowman not anywhere close to the lead lap. He had that crash earlier. He spent a lengthy amount of time on the pit lane, but now he's back with some speed. We just took the lead of the Daytona 500, pushing the Ally Financial Chevrolet out in front. Eric Almirola behind us, trying to take the lead immediately here down into turn 3. Here comes Cody Ware for Rick Ware Racing, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as well. There you see Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon's been very strong in this race so far in both stage 1 and 2. Been competing for both the stage wins. Wouldn't be surprised if he's competing for the Daytona 500 win here in the next 20 laps. Now, as there's 20 laps to go from this Daytona 500, Stenhouse and Ware on my inside now as we came through towards turn 1 out of turn 2. I had jumped up to the outside. I didn't want to be trapped on that inside again. We know that inside line is going backwards. We don't want to be down there. However, to my surprise, the outside really did not work all of a sudden because the inside was the lane that really moved forward. So I was able to fortunately jump down to that second lane behind my teammate here, but Joey Logano, my Alliance teammate, and actually we're going to push him to the lead of this race, and he's going to jump down back to the inside again. So just like the duel where Blaney hung me out, he hangs me out. The caution flies actually here in Daytona, and you can see right there Landon Castle and Corey LaJoy are both stopped on the apron in turn 1. What has happened there? Here's a replay. Landon Castle, I don't know why, he was stopped on the track. He was, I don't think, out of field, and then goodness me, the number 7 of Corey LaJoy slams into Castle and sends him airborne nearly up and over. What in the world was that? Corey LaJoy on board. I mean, he made an attempt to try and avoid it, but in the attempt to avoid it, he managed to hit him dead on. I don't know whether to congratulate him or what, but everybody would come into the pit lane here as well, and we would, you know, get the fuel put in the car, put the tires on the car for one final time after seeing what mess that just was, and we were back ready to go green here momentarily. As what a day it has been here in this Daytona 500 here from Daytona Beach, Florida. Beautiful weather here today. We're going to finish without any rain delays. It's going to be actually a daytime finish from the looks of it here as we're ready to go green for the restart behind Chase Elliott. A little bit of an order shakeup here. Eric Jones was now leading the way back to the green flag. It's 13 laps to go here from Daytona. On the back of the 9, I just turned the 9 of Chase Elliott into the outside wall there down the front straightaway.
Hi, speed 4 here.
Well, you briefly heard the radio of Chase Elliott there. There was no intention. I just got into the back wheel and turned him into the outside wall. Fortunately, really no damage is done to that Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet as Elliott still seeking that first 500 win, but it doesn't look like now it's going to happen today in these closing laps here now as we are finding ourselves up towards the front, pushing Tyler Reddick to the lead of the Daytona 500, but he jumps down to the inside. I'm going to go for the lead now, side drafting him with help from the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. To the lead we go once again. This is the second time other than the original start that we have led this Daytona 500. Stenhouse immediately jumps to the inside. First opportunity he gets. We got Ty Dillon, who's very quick throughout this race so far for that Richard Petty GMS, merging team. Petty GMS it is now in this season for 2022. 12 laps to go, as now you can see the 42 to my outside on the exit of turn 4, and once they get to your quarter panel and they side draft you, especially on the exit of a corner, it kind of tries to pull your car up towards them, and it's really weird. It's kind of terrifying because it can result in an accident so easily. But once again, you see the effect of the side draft. We lose so much time, and once again we were down in the bottom part of the top 10 suddenly here now in these closing laps. 10 laps to go in this 500 now, though we are linked up with a teammate of Austin Cindric. We wanted to be linked up with a teammate by the late portions of this race, and now we have that. So working with Cindric, and it was working to perfection all over the back of that Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Two rookies here, two teammates now, an Alliance teammate now. As we head down into turn 3, we take the lead with Cindric now. P2 as well. Chastain, he got to the side draft though, so he was able to pull himself forward with that outside line, bringing William Byron, Chase Elliott back into the mix with them as I'm all over the back of the 2 of Cindric into turn 1, nearly turning that number 2 into the corner. Thankfully, we back out of it in time. No accident there, but it destroyed our momentum. You can see how much time we lost within the just next few moments here. Now outside of basically the top half of the field in these closing laps, so I need to find a way out of this outside, or out of the inside to the outside. So we get to the middle lane here, approaching these final 5 laps, nearly to the side of Ty Dillon there on the exit of turn 4, 3 wide in the middle. Everybody is giving it everything they have at this point here in this Daytona 500. The final 5 laps underway here, and we're behind that FedEx Toyota Camry of Denny Hamlin, who knows how to win these races now. But a stack up right there in the middle and the outside. I jump back down to the inside now, picking up that slipstream there from Daniel Suarez here. So we continue to try and move our way forwards, and then again, I jump up to the outside because there's 2 more Alliance teammates, Blaney, Logano. We can work our way towards the front with those 2 drivers, and sure enough, that's exactly what we're doing here, going to the outside of Eric Jones. I think that was 4 wide briefly there into turn 1 in these 4 final laps of this race. Now down the back straightaway, look at the momentum we have here on the outside, but both Logano and Blaney hang me out to dry into turn 3, and now we need assistance, and I don't think we're gonna get it. Martin Truex Jr., he would get in behind me now. As you can see, I just still have no help here. Now is Elliott, he gets into my left rear quarter panel, he runs us into the wall. What in the world has the 9 just done on the exit of the tri-oval? What a idiot, dude.
Yeah, he races like that every week. Looks like it's no different with the new car.
There you hear, I'm not very happy with Elliott. Here was the look. I mean, what was he doing? He drove into me and then he just put me into the wall. What are you doing, Chase Elliott? I mean, I know he's maybe not the happiest because of this earlier where I put him into the wall on the restart, but I mean, that was completely accidental. So it looks like we got beef, maybe, with the number 9, the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series champion of Chase Elliott. We can't go for retaliation here, as oh my goodness, we nearly ended our career right there with the 48 of Alex Bowman. Coming to the final 2 laps of this Daytona 500. We're back in the mix still, 3 wide in the middle. We do have damage on the front end, left front specifically of this car. You see the hood popped up a little bit, but now it's a lap and a half to go in this Daytona 500. Chastain on the inside. He is not on Bodo's mode on anybody yet so far, but don't rule it out in the closing laps of this race now, as we continue with that slipstream from 34 now of Michael McDowell. Cindric dropped down to the inside. Ryan Blaney currently leads as we're coming to the final lap, but we've seen it. Things can change drastically here in this 500 with the way this pack and the momentum works now. White flag in the air. We're 3 wide in the middle. Hamlin's trying to make some headway on our outside here as we head down into turn 1. We're kind of boxed in, and we're just really hoping for the best at this point, hoping that this middle lane is the one that prevails. Are we going to win this 500? Probably not without a big one in front of us, and we somehow avoid it. But Justin Haley has taken the lead on the exit of turn 2 down this back straightaway for the final time. Elliott as well has a big run down the back straightaway. He's suddenly, all of a sudden, about to fight for a Daytona 500 victory again here, just like he did in 2021. There he goes to the outside of the number 31 of Haley into turn 3. Chase Elliott with help from Ty Dillon to the lead, 4 wide in the background there. Blaney, Logano, Hamlin, Cody Ware, as well as we exit turn 4 for the final time. Harvick and Haley move to the inside line. What's happening here? There's a car slow. There's a big accident in the background. Up and over goes Hamlin. Elliott wins the Daytona 500 for the first time in his NASCAR Cup Series career, but it's a big crash in the background. You saw the 31 in Harvick and the 4 bail out because they saw something happening, and it appears that there's been a huge crash here as there's still cars piling in. Oh my goodness, there's Biffle and the rookie of Jay Cook in that number 16 Colleague machine as well involved. The caution does not fly because it was at the very end of the race, and there you see it. What in the world happened? Elliott there, the replay of him winning, but Cole Custer, who's going less than, I think, 20 miles per hour as the field is coming to the finish of the 500. He pulls in front of a bunch of cars and sends Hamlin up and over. Multiple cars crashing. Gregson, Kyle Busch as well. Alex Bowman with heavy contact. And Cole Custer has just done one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in a stock car. As you can see my POV of going through that, and we end up in the top 10 at the end of this Daytona 500. And you can imagine there is going to be repercussions for Cole Custer going into the next episode, and stay tuned on what is happening there, because that is an unacceptable behavior from a NASCAR Cup Series driver. Why wasn't he down off of the racing surface? Top 10 for us at the end of the day here in our Daytona 500 debut of the Cup Series, in a bit of a controversial end, but it's Chase Elliott who comes out on top of it as a Daytona 500 winner. There you see myself and Ross Chastain round out the top 10. So we got ourselves a nice top 10 debut here as a rookie. We will absolutely take that top 10 here in our Cup Series debut. What an episode it was, and we round things off here with this just a beautiful scene here of this Daytona International Speedway. But it was time to fly out, head back to North Carolina, and then head to Auto Club in the next episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed the production value of these first first couple episodes so far, and that's going to continue this whole way through. That is going to do it for me. Goodbye, Daytona International Speedway. Auto Club in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, everybody.